Hello everyone. In this video lecture, let us understand part B of Module 1, Hierarchical Modeling Concepts. In this lecture, let us understand the top-down design methodology and the bottom-up design methodology. First, let us discuss about the two standard design methodologies which are available, that is the top-down design methodology and the bottom-up design methodology. Let us look into each one of these design methodologies and understand them with an example. First, let us understand the top-down design methodology. In this design methodology, we first define the top-level block. From the top-level block, we identify the sub-blocks necessary to build the top-level block. These sub-blocks can be further divided into sub-blocks, and this process of division goes on until it cannot be further divided. The last level of sub-blocks is known as the leaf cells. So let us observe a pictorial representation of the same. So in a top-down design methodology, we first define the top-level block. So the top-level block is defined. Once the top-level block is defined, we identify the sub-blocks necessary to build the top-level block. So let us assume this top-level block can be constructed using some number of sub-blocks. Here for representation, I have shown 4 sub-blocks. So we identify the sub-blocks required to build the top-level block. These sub-blocks can be further divided into sub-blocks, and the process of division goes on until no further division is possible. The last level of sub-blocks is known as the leaf cells. So here, for the purpose of illustration, we have just shown that the sub-blocks get divided into 2 leaf cells. This can vary from design to design. In a bottom-up design methodology, we begin with the lower level building blocks. So we identify the building blocks available in the design. We combine these building blocks to form bigger blocks known as the macro cells. The macro cells are further combined to derive higher level blocks until the top level block is designed. So in a bottom up approach, we identify the building blocks, that is the leaf cells required for the design. These leaf cells will be combined to form bigger cells known as the macro cells. These macro cells can be further combined to form higher modules until we obtain the top level module. This is the bottom up design methodology. Now let us understand the top down design methodology with an example. Consider the design of a 16-bit adder. How many inputs are needed for a 16-bit adder? We need 2 inputs A and B, which are 16-bit wide, and 1 carry input. And we know that we have 16-bit sum output and 1 carry output as well. If we are doing the regular design procedure, we probably have to write a truth table with 16 combinations of A along with 16 combinations of B, and the table would definitely be very complicated, and obtaining a simplified expression from such a huge table is highly impractical, cannot be done manually. So then how do we do the design of a 62-bit adder? Can we sit and write a 32 variable K-map to get the simplified expression? And can we solve this 32 variable Quinn-McCluskey or a table reduction method? Definitely, all these simplification techniques fail. So what is the solution now? Which is the better solution? Instead of designing the adder in a straightforward manner, can we use either of the 2 design methodologies we just discussed? Yes, we can choose either the top-down or the bottom-up design methodology. So, to illustrate that, we can observe that this is a 16-bit adder. We had to design a 16-bit adder. So, we all know the design of 1-bit adders. So we can combine 4 1-bit adders to form a 4-bit adder. That is, these are the leaf cells. 4 leaf cells can be combined to form one macro cell. Similarly, 4 macro cells here are combined to form one 16-bit adder. So this is definitely which approach? This is the bottom-up approach, because we are starting with the leaf cells, building macro cells, and then finally building the higher level modules, that is the top level block. The same can be implemented using the top-down design methodology as well. Let us understand the 4-bit triple carry counter design in detail. A 4-bit triple carry counter has 4 T flip-flops. We know that one flip-flop can store only 1 bit of information. So to store 4-bit information, we need 4 flip-flops. And for a counter, normally we use the T flip-flop, the toggle flip-flop. So here in the design of a 4-bit triple counter, we need 4 T flip-flops which are connected as shown. So we have all the reset signals short together and available as a common reset signal. This is an asynchronous counter. Ripple counter is also known as asynchronous counter, and in an asynchronous counter, the clock is provided only to the first T flip-flop. The clock signals of the rest of the T flip-flop is derived from the output of the previous flip-flop. So this is an asynchronous 4-bit triple carry counter built using 4 negative edge triggered T flip-flops. So we have the 4 outputs Q0, Q1, Q2 and Q3, which represents the 4-bit counter value. Now let us illustrate the design of this 4-bit triple carry counter using any one of the design methodology. Let us consider design methodology. According to the top-down design methodology, the 4 T flip-flops can now further be realized using smaller sub-blocks such as the D flip-flop and an inverter. So the T flip-flop module in the previous slide can now be realized using a D flip-flop and an inverter. When we take the output of a D flip-flop connected to the input through an inverter, this flip-flop now behaves like a T flip-flop, which can be illustrated in this truth table. According to the truth table, whenever the reset signal is 1, we know that it is an active high reset. Whenever the reset is 1, irrespective of this value, irrespective of the previous state, the next state is always a 0 because the reset signal is high. When the reset signal is low, whatever is the input is complemented because of this NOT gate. So if the previous state was 0, the next state is the complement of 0, which is a 1. And if the previous state is a 1, the next state is the complement of the previous state, which is a 0. So a D flip-flop can be used to create a T flip-flop with the help of an inverter. Let us now observe the hierarchical design of the ripple carry counter we just discussed. So the ripple carry counter is the top level block which can be realized using 4 T flip-flops. Each of these 4 T flip-flops can further be realized using a D flip-flop and an inverter gate. So this last level of cells, sub-blocks, which cannot be further divided are the leaf cells. The ripple carry counter is the top level block, and these T flip-flops can be used as either the sub-blocks or the macro cells depending on whichever design methodology we use. If carefully observed, this can be realized as a top-down design methodology or a bottom-up design methodology. So this is the hierarchical design of a ripple carry counter. So the hierarchical design we just saw, in that if we observe it as a top-down design methodology, we first specify the functionality of the ripple carry counter, which represents the top level block. Then we implement the counter using T flip-flops. Later, each of the T flip-flop is built using a D flip-flop and an inverter. So we break the bigger blocks into smaller building blocks until no further division is possible, that is until we obtain the leaf cells. The same thing can be realized using a bottom-up design methodology in which we combine small building blocks or the leaf cells and build bigger blocks. So in this video lecture, we have understood the two design methodologies, that is the top-down design methodology and the bottom-up design methodology with examples. Thank you.